Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us this afternoon. This is the 30th anniversary of the Virginia Film Festival and the announcement of our program this afternoon. It's my 9th Virginia Film Festival, and it still is a privilege to be able to be the director of the Virginia Film Festival and also to be a part of this community, now more than ever. If you're wondering, we did the research. Those are Virginia moths up there. So we're trying to stay true to our roots here in our community and in the Commonwealth of Virginia. So this year, of course, we're celebrating 30 years. And like anything with the Virginia Film Festival, we're coming off of 8 record-setting years. Sometimes afterwards, that's the narrative of the festival. Did you break another record? That's really not what we're trying to do here with the festival. It's been great. We'll continue to grow. Maybe we'll be up. Maybe we'll be down one year or another. But it's really about the community that you saw being forged in the video that you just saw. The fact that we're introducing our community to outside artists and to other people, and that we're also sharing a dialogue with our community members about a lot of the topics that are covered so importantly in these films and with these artists that we bring in to tell their stories. So I think that ultimately that's what I'm most proud of and what we're trying to forge here in our community by presenting the Virginia Film Festival. 30 years is a landmark year. It's nice to be around this long, and I'm glad that I've been a part of it for almost a third of its history. It's been an honor. We're going to open this year with the film Downsizing. It's an Alexander Payne film. Now, you might notice a little bit of a pattern here. This is actually the 3rd Alexander Payne film that we've opened the festival with during my 9-year tenure, the others being Downsizing and most recently Nebraska. He's a consummate filmmaker, an incredible artist. The film is produced by Mark Johnson, president of the Virginia Film Festival Advisory Board, and it stars Matt Damon, Kristen Wiig, Christoph Waltz, and a newcomer who has burst onto the scene with truly a transcendent performance, and I'm almost certain she'll be nominated for an Academy Award, and that is the Chinese actress Hong Chau. Mark Johnson will join us for a discussion on opening night in the Paramount, and we're thrilled to be able to present this film. It touches upon, lightly, because it is a comedy, upon some topics I think that are particularly important here in Charlottesville now, and most importantly, a theme of acceptance, which I think will resonate with our community in a way to be able to hit upon that theme lightly and in a gentle way, because we're going to cover it a little bit more seriously down the road during the festival. It also deals with issues of the environment as well, something that I know we all care about and which always seems to be at the forefront when civil rights are not at the forefront of our news. Of course, our opening night gala will follow right here in the same building that you're in right now, the Jefferson Theater. And then we're very pleased on Friday evening to bring in an incredible actor, I think one of the very best in the business, Mr. William H. Macy. I had the good fortune to co-produce a film with Bill in 2007 that premiered at the Sundance Film Festival, The Deal. I've known Bill for many years prior and since, and this is my first time I've been able to bring him into Charlottesville. He's a great actor. He's a good guy, currently starring in Showtime's Shameless. But just a remarkable character actor. If you look at the breadth and scope of his career over the years, he's extraordinary. He also has been a director, a producer, and a writer as well, and won several Emmys. So Bill Macy will be in with his new film Crystal that stars Rosario Dawson, young actor named Nick Robinson, and also Kathy Bates as well. And William H. Macy will be on hand for a moderated discussion with the film's producer, Rachel Winter, on Friday evening. Now, we announced about a month and a half ago that Spike Lee would be joining us shortly after the August 12th events in Charlottesville. I can share with you that this is part of a larger program that we're doing in partnership with James Madison's Montpelier. We had actually started those discussions all the way back in very early March to highlight their recent exhibition, The Mere Distinction of Color, a Legacy of Slavery program that they're doing, and this has morphed into a larger discussion on race in America, which is what we're entitling this larger program, which will include a number of films. Sadly enough, Charlottesville erupted on August 12th, and this became even more compelling. We had invited Spike Lee to join us in late April, And 2 days or 3 days after the August 12th events, I received a call from Spike saying that he would like to come down and he would like to screen his documentary for little girls about the Alabama Birmingham church bombings in 1963 of the 4 young girls, how that was domestic terrorism then. Of course, they didn't label it such in 1963, but how he felt it related to the domestic terrorism that we suffered most recently here in Charlottesville. So this is what we're able to do as a film festival. This is the kind of response and community dialogue that we can offer, which I think is at the very core of what we do at the Virginia Film Festival and what I'm personally most proud of. So Spike Lee, one of our greatest living American directors, will be in for that discussion. It should be a fascinating one. Inclusive of that program, Race in America with James Madison's Montpelier, will be screening Tell Them We Are Rising. We have the co-director Marco Williams. This is a Stanley Nelson film in for that discussion about historic black universities and colleges in the United States, and the confession tapes by 2 UVA alums that look at forced confessions. All part of this larger concept of race in America, to include everything from education to incarceration to you name it, everything that we see in the news day after day after day, sadly. We're also bringing in Academy Award-winning filmmaker Ezra Edelman. Obviously, O.J. Made in America was front and center in the festival circuit and on television last year, but we thought that a discussion with Ezra would be incredibly timely. We're going to screen this series over 3 days, culminating in the final episode, and Ezra will be on hand for a moderated discussion as well. And then Margot Lee Shetterly will be joining us for Hidden Figures. You might say, well, why are we screening Hidden Figures? It was done last year. I still feel that Margot has not had her just due here in Charlottesville. And also because so often when we're looking at race in America, it's about the struggle. And although there's clearly struggle in this film, it's also about remarkable achievement as well. So I think there's a very positive focus on screening this film. Also, most recently, you probably saw in the news that one of the hidden figures that's profiled in the film, or spotlighted in the film, Katherine Johnson, they just named a NASA center for her in Hampton Roads, I believe? Yes, Hampton Roads, just the other day. So this story continues onward today, and I feel it's important for us to continue to share it within our community. Oops, bring that back, Wesley. Now I'd like to bring up Virginia Film Festival programmer Wesley Harris, who's going to delve down a little more deeply into the program for you. Wesley?
Thank you, Jody. I won't bury the lead on that one. We're happy to be welcoming back Ben Mankiewicz this year. This is part of our looking back at our own history and bringing in guests who can help provide that expert framing and discussions and events that go beyond simply sitting in a movie theater and watching a film with some strangers. He will be introducing and moderating some of our repertory screenings, to include a 50th anniversary screening of The Graduate, as well as a nod to our history, introducing a grouping of silent films, which will have live music accompaniment, which is something that we've been very proud to do most of our own years. Matthew Marshall and the Real Music Trio will be returning to provide scores for Alfred Hitchcock's 1927 thriller, The Lodger, which we'll be doing and I'm really excited about this, a late night screening in the Paramount on Friday night with an eerie original score from Matt, as well as a trio of Chaplin two-reelers headlined by The Immigrant, which is just as relevant now as it was when it premiered 100 years ago. All 3 of those Chaplin films are celebrating their 100th anniversary this year. Also, as a nod to our past, we'll be doing a shot-by-shot workshop with Hal Ashby's biographer Nick Dawson and screening Harold and Maude over the course of a couple days during the festival. Roger Ebert's legendary shot-by-shots in the 90s and early 2000s were very special to him, very special to our audiences. I actually saw his widow, Chaz Ebert, when we were out at the Telluride Film Festival, and she and Werner Herzog were sitting at a table together signing books, and right as I walked up, they had just been talking about Roger's time in Virginia running these workshops. So it was a really lovely little moment and a really lovely tradition that we're happy to bring back this year. Some of our international films, we often have a very strong slate of films which are their respective countries' submissions for the foreign language category at the Academy Awards. And this year's no different. We actually have more than ever before, more than I'm even going to show you on this screen because I confirmed another one earlier this afternoon from Italy. But we've got Happy End from Austria, which is Michael Haneke's new film. White Sun from Nepal, Summer 1993 from Spain, Loveless from Russia, A Fantastic Woman from Chile, Song of Granite from Ireland, Woodpeckers from the Dominican Republic, Tom of Finland from Finland, and November from Estonia, which was actually produced by a former VFF staff member. Now, coming back away from the global scale and to a much more local, much more intimate one, a documentary on the events of August 11th and 12th, which is currently being made right now. Charlottesville, Our Streets, from director Brian Weimer and writer Jackson Landers. This film sources from dozens of people who were out just down the street outside this theater those days, pulling footage from all different perspectives. Very highly polished HD camera work, very grainy cell phone footage, filling in the gaps of the stories that have been told about that weekend, the stories that have been told by national news outlets and people who, with well intentions, came here to tell the story for us. This film will be the moment at which Charlottesville starts to tell its own story again. And our spotlight of some of our Virginia films this year. We have a really lovely film, Scenes with Ivan, from Doug and Judy Barry. Who you probably remember Doug from his movie he did with Brian Faux-Paws a few years ago. But it's a really sweet portrait of their son, Ivan, compiled of home movie footage that they shot from his very earliest days up to the present, going through their archives and discovering moments they didn't even remember, little offhand, nothing moments in the time become really sweet, lovely tonal vignettes in this movie that is just sort of life-affirming and happy. He talks in it about how hard, I think he was talking to Albert Maysles here at the festival a few years ago, how hard it is to make a movie without any conflict in it, and what it's like to make a movie about some people who've been happy together for 30 years with their son. So it's a nice departure and a breath of fresh air. An Outrage is a short documentary by Hannah Ayers and Lance Warren, in which they visit 6 different states, 6 different lynching sites in the South. And it's a very well-researched, very well-balanced history of American lynchings. The Ruination of Lovell Coleman is a short documentary by Ross McDermott, formerly of the Charlottesville Mural Project. It's sort of a character study of this 91-year-old fiddle player and all-around raconteur here in town. Double Dummy is from John McAllister. It's a documentary on competitive bridge playing. And Permanent, which was directed by UVA alumna Colette Burson, who created the HBO series Hung, as well as The Riches. It's shot and set in Virginia. It's a period piece and a coming-of-age tale that features Rainn Wilson from The Office and Patricia Arquette, that we're very excited to be bringing her in to lead a masterclass workshop with students, as well as a discussion of her own film. So with that, I'll turn it back to Jody.
Thank you. So I must confess I did misspeak earlier. Hong Chow was actually born in Thailand to Vietnamese parents. So I believe I referenced that incorrectly earlier, so just to correct that. On Sunday of the festival, we're going to be screening an episode of Homeland. Most recently, the Virginia Film Office was able to lure them away from Maryland into the Commonwealth of Virginia for shooting, and they're filming here actively now. We are going to be joined by show director Leslie Linka Glatter for a discussion. And we're not done yet. We actually think we're going to be building a larger panel, so we don't have confirmations yet, but we certainly hope to add to that panel moving forward. But we also think that the discussion of Homeland is incredibly topical at the moment as well. So we're looking forward to this, and this is a continuation of our focus on screening episodic television as well from time to time. 30th anniversary screening of Broadcast News in partnership with the Miller Center for Public Affairs And we're doing this, not only this is a great film, and I think sometimes an overlooked film, and a lot of fun, but because of, in today, I think you all would be sensitive to the concept of this proliferation of fake news. So we thought it would be fun to take a look at this and have a serious discussion about fake news. What is it? Is it real? Is it made up? And we're very, very fortunate to have a journalistic legend, Jim Lehrer, on hand to lead that discussion with our own Wyatt Andrews, former CBS News correspondent. And Wyatt, of course, is now with the Miller Center. So that should be a really fascinating look at this 30th anniversary of this great film and fake news. We're also screening The Candidate, one of my favorite films about politics, in partnership with the Sorensen Institute for Political Leadership. And we have the political consultant and journalist Paul Begala on hand to lead a discussion of that film as well. And we're screening an episode of the Vietnam War, Ken Burns and Lynn Novick's new series that is out. A discussion immediately moderated, we're including director Lynn Novick in partnership with the Miller Center for Public Affairs. And because this year's Virginia Film Festival, that Veterans Day actually falls within our dates, we're going to be screening Richard Linklater's new film, Last Flag Flying, and American Veteran as well. Now, some of the highlights of the festival include a new film starring Armie Hammer, Call Me By Your Name, a film that I saw in Telluride most recently, Film Stars Don't Die in Liverpool, with Annette Bening playing the role of Gloria Graham, the famous movie star. Breath, which is another Mark Johnson film that stars and is directed by Simon Baker. And The Leisure Secret, that stars Helen Mirren and Donald Sutherland. And now our Centerpiece Film on Saturday evening at the Paramount. To give you a little background about this film, Hostiles, it's directed by Scott Cooper. Scott Cooper is a Virginian. You know his work, Crazy Heart, Black Mass, Out of the Furnace. This film stars Christian Bale, Rosamund Pike, and the Native American actor Wes Studi, who you know from The Last of the Mohicans. This is a very powerful, very difficult and violent film about the American West. I saw the film at Telluride and wanted to see it because I'm a Scott Cooper fan, and immediately after the film, and I was very moved by the film, he sat down, and it was, about 2.5 weeks after the August 12th incidents here in Charlottesville, and he spoke about how the themes in this film reminded him of events in his home of Charlottesville, and how that overall this theme of this film is one of acceptance. Again, powerful performance by Christian Bale and Rosamund Pike and Wes Studi. We're very fortunate to bring Scott Cooper in for a moderated discussion as he returns to his home here in Virginia. So we're thrilled about that as well. And then I just wanted to share with you our late night wrap party, which is in a new site this year. We're over at Cardinal Hall, moving out of Main Street Arena. And then finally, I just wanted to share with you, this is about 80-85% of our program. We're still building and finalizing some titles. We're still confirming some guest artists that will be attending the festival. That's part of the normal process. I got an email at 2:14 a.m. last night confirming our Centerpiece Film. That's just part of what we do on a regular basis. It has nothing to do with us not being prepared and everything to do with the normal film festival cycle. We're really 10 days past Toronto closing. New York's happening. The Venice film happened at Telluride Festival, and it's all a crush. And so we're building the very best program that we possibly can for our festival and for our community here in Charlottesville to share with you. So there'll be an additional series of announcements probably sometime in the next 10 days to 2 weeks with a handful of additional titles, maybe some additional guest artists to add into this program. But for now, this is the program. You all have your press releases. I'd be happy to answer any questions. And thank you all so much for joining us. As you can see, tickets go on sale Friday, September 29th to the general public, and our donor pre-sale starts tomorrow at noon. Thank you all. Are there any questions? Excellent. Thanks so
Covered
much.
everything. All right.